This is talking the bifurcation, but I didn't overlap too much. And I really concentrate left main bifurcation because that's most important segment. But somehow important when we are talking the bifurcation. So that's I'm going to explain. Same. And I showed this picture already, but now I'm talking the bifurcation. So what this picture tells us is plaque is diffuse, but most of the time plaque is outside, meaning that most of the time even such of the disease, carina is not disease. And as I said in the previous talk, the plaque is always this side and also this side. And because of the distal left main is on the top of the flow divider is most of the time we see the concentric plaque compared to the other. So that's very important to remember. And the second, I showed this picture already, but I'm going to talk different way. When we wrote this paper, I thought that what is the most important message was, no matter how it looks like angiographic appearance, 90% plaque continue from the LAD to the left main. That was message. But later on, I did differently. Because when we are talking the bifurcation, what is the most important is actually side branch, especially in the distal left main. Because no matter how, you put the stent from the LAD to the left main. So whether you do two stent or provisional is really based on the circumflex, right? So when we look in this data based on the circumflex standpoint, actually you can recognize circumflex is very different variation in terms of the disease. Sometimes it's continued to the circumflex to the left main, and sometimes isolated only the ostium, and sometimes very clean. So LAD is always disease, keep in mind, but circumflex has much more variation based on the IBUS. Therefore, it's really important to check the circumflex to decide what is the bifurcation stenting, especially in the left main. Okay, so this is a different way to talk the bifurcation. So this is obvious, looks like the left main disease, but the question was how big the size of the circ and the left main. And remember, this circumflex was dominant. And we did the IBUS. And then again, number one, we have to review the distribution. Number one, left main is significant, and actually the disease up to both circumflex and LAD. And we measure the lumen, and both are significant. And surprisingly, surprising point of this case to me is the circumflex larger than the LAD, which is very infrequent because this is dominant circumflex. So this kind of like the measurement we cannot get by angio. So based on this, we decide 3 stent from the LAD to the left main, 3-5 stent from the circumflex to left. That's very different compared to the regular left main stenting. And then we confirm all segment was nice. So those are the process how to decide for the 2-stent technique. And this is the data from the Excel trial and also the definition study from China. We ask the operator, if you do the IBUS, how you change your mind before IBUS. In the Excel trial, they say 50% of the time, I change my mind. And if we ask very specific question, are you going to change from 1 to 2 or 2 to 1? They say I change 1 to 2, 11%, 2 to 1, 9%. So by looking at the circumflex Excel trial, many people change their mind, not too many. But China, this is a different study, but again, they ask, based on the angio, what you decide, in single stent strategy or 2 stent. And then after looking at IBUS, you see the 16 change to 1 to 2, and 94 change to 2 to 1. So by looking at the IBUS, they are changing the strategy a lot. And the main point is how it looks like the bifurcation, side branch. Okay. Then many people ask me, can we evaluate side branch by main vessel IBUS? This is the data. We look into the circumflex from directly from the circumflex or from the LAD. What do you think of this circumflex? I'm in the LAD and I'm looking at the circumflex ostium. What do you think? Looks okay, right? And we did the IBUS directly from the circ. Not okay. It's a diffuse disease, right? So this is a summary what we found. The point was, when you see the disease in the side branch from the main vessel IVUS, that is most likely real. So the sensitivity to detect the disease from the main vessel imaging is actually relatively high. However, specificity is low. So if you don't see, this does not mean no disease. So please remember, if you see the disease, most likely yes. But if you don't see the disease, this does not mean you have no disease in the circumflex. So please remember, if you want to do the distal left main bifurcation, please do IVUS in the circ directly. That's actually more important than LED. This is a study from China. They did a study to define what is a complex bifurcation, and then based on the registry data, they show the complex bifurcation in the distal left main side branch length is more than 10 millimeter. In the morning we discussed, I think this is too long. That's their definition. But based on this definition, including only the complex bifurcation, side branch is very significant. They randomize whether two-stent technique or provisional stenting for the complex region, meaning side branch is very significant. And what they found is actually two-stent technique is better outcome compared to the provisional. So I think the point was, when we see significant disease, and that's confirmed by IVUS, we have to decide from the beginning, I have to do the two-stent technique instead of the provisional. So to me, what is important is what type of the region you need to do two-stent from the beginning, right? So to answer that question, we put out the data from everywhere. And this is the data we didn't publish yet, but we presented the TCT. So we look into the case which was done provisional stenting. And then when the provisional required the bailout stenting into the circumflex, the factor of the circumflex was starting the small lumen, such as less than 4.5, or if there is a calcifying nodule at the bifurcation, or so-called layered plaque, which is explaining, like you see the right picture. I do think that should be like plaque, native plaque. On top, that's something different layer. So I believe that should be like organized thrombus. And if you see this type pattern in the left main, most likely we are going to be the issue of the circumflex ostium. And we published the different data. This is based on the OCT. And we see the layered plaque on the side branch ostium. This is a LED diag study. And once we see this type of layered plaque, we see more closing of the side branch after the procedure. So that's one parameter. But I think bottom line, how big the circumflex and how big the disease, especially the plaque and the lumen area, that's most important for the decision of the two-stent technique. And I think I explained this, so that's okay. But if you confirm the side branch is clean, how can you predict? This is a very important data from Korea. So they confirmed the circumflex ostium is clean. So they did the provisional, and then they found angiographically diameter stenosis more than 50 out of everything is 42%. And then they did the FFR, and FFR negative is most. And then ultimately, out of 43 patients, start in the mild disease of the circ. At the end of the procedure, they found only 7% having the FFR positive. What this meaning, if you confirm circumflex ostium is good, if you do the provisional, most of the time, you are okay, and they have the good outcome. So the confirming the very beginning is very important. And then question was, FFR is enough to confirm that's good? And this is the data. If the FFR is negative, they are getting their good outcome. This is a long-term outcome. Okay, I think I have probably one or two cases, then finish. So this is a case. I didn't show the original picture, but this is we did the kiloton stent. This is a different case. However, the patient coming back 2 months later is non-STEMI. And you see the osteosarc Dutch view looks like hazy, and we saw that is probably thrombus. And this is a baseline IVUS and kiloton stenting, and I was not super happy of the osteosarc 5.2, right? And this is what's happening. This is a baseline. If you review the circumflex very carefully, there is no stent at the carina site. And other side, actually, I see the 2 layers of the stent. So what's happening when you do the kilot, the wire into the circumflex was too distal, and then bringing the carina side strut into the other side, and then leaving the non-stent or some dissection at the ostium of the circ. And then at the side, it was thrombus. This picture is the thrombus on top of the stent. That's happening. And then we ask, how often we see this type of issue in the two-stent technique. And this is a different pattern, but if you do the kilot, the crush was not enough. You see the double layer is still not enough. And T-stent, sometimes we see the gap at the opposite to the carina, and that's what we see. So this is the data from the Excel we didn't publish yet. And we ask what type of the issue after the two-stent technique can be observed by IBAS. Overall, it's close to like the 1/3 of the cases. No matter how it looks like the kilot or T-stent, if the kilot is the gap is the carina side, but if T-stent is a gap is opposite to the carina side. So we see many issues like the gap or the opposing is not enough. So I think really the two-stent technique is the quality of the two-stent technique. And how can you do is this is a way. So this is a IBAS after the stenting into the circumflex, and then this is a part of the decay crush, and then they rewire, and they confirming the where the wire position. So because this is decay crush, prefer to the proximal wiring. So you can see the wire from the left main to the circumflex to the, this is the circumflex ostium, and you see the wire in the proximal portion. That looks good. So how can you do? This is an IBAS picture. So you look for the circumflex wire from the LED branch. This is a circumflex wire, and then based on this, you rotate the longitudinal picture by rotating this plane, and then once you rotate, you can see the nice wire through the circumflex. That's very easy to do. So I recommend to check wire location by looking at the longitudinal picture. Okay, so this is, I think, the last case, but I think this is also very teaching for us. So this is a patient having the stent in the proximal LAD, not left main, but coming back with this picture. So when I see this picture, we are asking ourselves, yes, circumflex ostium is bad, but is this continue to the left main or something involving the LAD, or is this really the left main region? And based on the angio, it's very unclear. Only clear is the circumflex ostium was stenotic. That's it. This type of the pattern is IBAS is very helpful. And what we see is the top is the circumflex to the left main. So the circumflex ostium was very diseased, a lot of plaque. That's no question. And LAD from the left main is no disease, looks good. But what is most important, these findings, is almost no left main. So I put the left main, but at the side of the left main is already connecting the aorta. So this IBAS confirming this is almost separate ostium. So by looking at this IBAS, we really learn, okay, if so, we just stand from the circumflex to the left main or no left main, and then kissing, and then we should be able to perfect findings. And then what we have done is we put the kiss, and then putting stent in the circle, kiss, and that's the final picture. So both sides looks good. We didn't put the stent into the LAD, we just balloon, but circumflex we put the stent, and then because of almost no left main, actually no left main, so there is no competing with each other, and then finally, which was really good. So if you look into the final picture, probably you can see it looks like almost no left main. But still, it's very difficult to understand how it looks like the left main, etc., especially the patient coming back as an instantly stenosis. Okay, that's a summary, but I think I talked too much, so I don't need to talk again, so thank you so much.